the bucket and a foul. Breakaway. Io.
Oh, meet me at the rim and don't be late.
Give me the hot sauce. Did you not get the memo? Derek Rose can go upstairs.
Oh, he's got Giddy. The steal. Right for the lead. Yeah!
Big time plays. Big time plays.
Giddy for the win. Go!
Oh, my God. I cannot believe this.
Improbable.
Welcome in, everybody, to a brand new edition of the Gimme the Hot Sauce podcast. Stacey King is here. Our buddy Tim Kelley's got some things he's got to take care of. We're not going to go into that, but we missed him. We wish him well. We'll get him back next week. We watched the debut of the Bulls Summer League team on Friday night, and it was a rough go. 33 turnovers. You could expect some of that because you get all these guys thrown together. They only had a couple of practices at the Advocate Center, and then they flew to Vegas. But, boy, that was a tough watch.
Yeah, it was a little disappointing, all the turnovers. You know, I know, like you said, Mark, getting together a short period of time. I mean, 33 turnovers is way too much. I mean, I can see 18, 20, but 33 turnovers to a team like Toronto. I mean, I was looking on Toronto's roster. I'm like, who's on their roster? Like, are they playing their starters? I mean,
Scotty Barnes out there?
Scotty Barnes out there? Because I'm thinking, I mean, I'm looking at the Bulls are down like almost 35, 40 points. And I'm like, it's a summer league game.
Yeah, it was tough.
A little disappointment. Disappointment for me.
We saw Modest Buzelis play a lot of minutes. They only play 40 minutes. They play 10-minute quarters in the Summer League. So Modest played, I think, like 24 minutes. He was out there a lot, and there was a lot of speculation he might, say hello, play a few minutes, and be done for the summer. And he was 4-14 shooting. He was trying to force some things, and he turned it over more. You could see visually that he looks like he is stronger, upper body, but he was having a rough night in the debut.
Well, I mean, he's expected to do a lot of the heavy lifting for this team. That's why I say like guys like Dalen Terry should be out there. You're never too old to get out in the summer league, especially guys who didn't play a lot of minutes this year. They should be out there. You see Patrick Williams should be out there playing, even if he only plays 2 or 3 games, just to see what he's like, just to see if he's healthy and getting some kind of glimpse of what you have coming into the season. I know teams don't like to send third-year players there because it doesn't look good, but we're not looking about looks. We're trying to get better. We want to see what these guys have, especially guys like Dalen Terry who didn't get to play like consistent minutes all season long. You want to see him out. You're not going to see Kobe out there. You're not going to see Io and those guys out there because those guys play a lot of minutes. But the guys who don't play a lot of minutes, I'd be one of these people like, unless there's a rule, you got to go out there.
I don't know if it's a hard and fast rule, but I had heard that after your second season, basically you don't play Summer League anymore. I don't know if it's a rule that you're not allowed.
I think it's just
we've
like
seen guys come back from Europe that are older.
I think it's more like we would not want to see it if you don't have to. But I don't think it's a rule that you can't play, even if they only play 2 games. You have those guys come out and play 2 games not in the tournament play, but just 2 games within the little round robin that they play, like last night, just to see what they look like, just to see if they're in shape, see what they've been working on their games, and I just think they should be out there.
The one thing Bulls fans were watching was the debut of Noah Asenge, the 18-and-a-half-year-old French native who was drafted with the Bulls with the number 12 pick. He had a rough night, 5 points. He had 7 of the Bulls' 33 turnovers. The thing that alarmed me, Stacey, was his handle. He was really loose with the ball, and they were taking advantage of that. Toronto was.
Well, that was one of the knocks on him coming into the draft, that he'd have to work on his ball handling skills. There's so much he's going to have to develop and work on. We knew this when they drafted him. He's got a huge ceiling to be successful in this league. But we knew defensively, he's ahead of his offense. Defensively, he can play defense. It's the offense part they're going to have to work and develop. It's going to take a couple of years. But, you see guys like Ace Bailey, the first game, he struggled. And people are like, oh, God, he's going to be a bust after the first game.
Yeah.
You don't take so much of it. I tell Bulls fans, don't look at the Summer League as a barometer of how the player is going to be during the year. Nobody looks good in the Summer League, not guys who have drafted. I mean, I played in the Summer League, and the one thing that people understand about the Summer League, Mark, is you have a target on your back when you're a first-round pick. There's a lot of undrafted guys, a lot of guys coming in from overseas trying to make teams. These guys are like Rocky Balboa, and the draft picks are Apollo Creed. You're living fat, you got the money now, and these guys are hungry, and they're going to fight you, and it's like, I'm going to fight you to the death. And so they come with a different intensity. They come with a different mindset than a first rounder. First rounder comes out there, oh, this is going to be easy. I'm just hooping. And then you realize, like, I'm going up against Tigers. Like, I'm going against, like dudes who are starving. I got to turn my game up. And normally it takes them about 2 games, 3 games to recognize that. I thought Modest saw it yesterday. I thought Modest saw guys go at him aggressively, because everybody knows who Modest is now. Modest is a household name.
Yeah.
He's going to be a future big time player in this league. And you could tell guys were going at him and he was going back at guys. So that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I saw some of the post-game comments from Asenge, and he mentioned the physicality a couple different times. He says, I got to get used to how physical it is. Now, he was playing in a very good league in Germany, but you come here, and like you said, these guys are desperate to try to get a look, to try to get a contract, whether it's in the NBA or going overseas for big money, and they know the scouts are in Vegas watching these games.
Well, and the funny thing about it is they allow them to play more physical in the summer league than they do during the regular season.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's one thing you're looking at. I mean, they get after, they grab, they hold, they pick up full court. They're banging guys, cutting through the lanes. You don't see that in the regular season. So these guys are seeing something now that's kind of a culture shock to them a little bit, like, whoa, this is not how it's supposed to be. But then when they get into the regular season, doesn't mean it's not going to be physical, but things are called a lot closer than what they're called in the summer league. And they let them play in the summer league because there's also, you got to remember too, Mark, they got a whole bunch of officials they're training. These are not veteran officials out there, calling summer league. These are guys trying to make the NBA. So that's a training ground for those guys as well.
And for Asenge, obviously, he's going to get big minutes for the rest of the summer league run in Vegas. And I think, go ahead, let him make his mistakes and adjust to things. I'm sure we're going to see progress as the summer league goes on.
I think they can win away with that game yesterday. Let's just flush it in the toilet.
Mm-hmm.
It's his first game here in the States. First game as a Bull. Let's just throw this away. There's some things that he did well. I thought defensively, he moved his feet. He switched out on guys. He stayed in front of guys. He's going to be, in the beginning of the season, he is going to be much further along defensively than he is offensively. Mm-hmm. And so if that's the case, that's how guys like Taj Gibson came in and Ayo Dosunmu got into the lineup, is their defense. Not so much their offense, but their defense. He could get into the lineup defensively. I think if he kept his, he keeps working on his game, get a consistent outside jumper, consistent ball handling, being able to get from point A to point B. Because at that size, you're talking from the 3-point line, you should almost get to the basket in 2 dribbles, less than 2 dribbles. Okay, the good players can go from 3-point line, 1 dribble, and there to the basket. So he's got to learn that. It's going to come. He's 18 years old. It's going to come. This was a little bit of a shock to him yesterday, seeing how intense and how physical the game was. He'll adjust. He'll adjust his game, and he'll work on his game. I'm not surprised at all because I know what it is to be a rookie in that league, and I know if you don't come with your chin strap on and your boots laced up, buddy, it's gonna be a long night for a first-round pick.
Yeah, last year, Modest Buzelis didn't play much during the first half of the season. We saw him twice play for the Windy City Bulls. I think Noah Asenge is going to play more games at Windy City. Stacey's a little more optimistic about him getting playing time at the NBA level. But when you look at the roster, you got Buzelis, Patrick Williams, Okoro, Julian Phillips. All those guys are probably ahead of Asenge right now. So it's better for him to play G League, isn't it, than just sitting at the end of the bench and not getting any run?
If Mark, we're a playoff team. If we're a team that's challenging, we're in the top 6 seeds and we made a strong playoff push, yeah. But we're a team developing guys, okay? So you have to factor that in. They're not going to win 50 games this year. I know some people are optimistic that they're going to win 50 games. They're not going to win 50 games. This roster is not ready to win 50 games right now, okay? And they're still not done tinkering with the roster. We don't know how it's going to look 2 weeks from now, a month from now. There could be Ayo could be gone. You hear Ayo to the Lakers. Kobe's name's been thrown up in some trades. They're still working out Josh Giddy's contract. So you don't know what this roster is going to be, in 2 weeks. So, as long as you're developing, and this is the goal, I mean, the goal was to get young talent here and develop them. And then let's build towards the future. Well, if you're going to do that, then Noah's got to play. He's got to play in games. You got to live with his mistakes. Just like I said last year with Buzelis. He's going to make mistakes. He's 19 years old. This is a professional level. He's going to make mistakes. You have to live with it. You have to encourage him. You have to show him when he's making these mistakes, pull him to the side, not just tell him the mistakes he's making, but show him on video. Because video is the best way to teach young players. Because the young players will say, I was there. I was at the rotation. No, coach, you're wrong. Well, let's go look at the video. Oh, coach, you're right. I wasn't at the rotation. That's how you teach kids. And then the more they get confidence playing, because the game right now is going to be 100 miles an hour. It's still 100 miles an hour for Modest. Modest is starting, the game is slowing down a little bit for him, but it's still fast. So it's about by year 3 is normally when the game completely slows down and you see things better and you're able to execute at a higher speed and pace. And I think Modest is on his way. I think Noah is a couple years away from that.
Well, let's zoom out and look big picture. Obviously, the Bulls we had AK on our show a couple of months ago. He was talking about having cap space in the summer of 2026 when there's a good free agent class. But in terms of development, the direction really has to come from the front office to the coaching staff. Hey, listen, we don't care what our record is this year. We want you to play Modest and Asenge. We want to play all the young guys. We don't care what the final record is, because the job for Billy Donovan and his staff, if they're not told otherwise, they're going to try to win every game. That's their job.
Yes, and the players that they have here, the veteran players, are going to try to win games. And if you got a guy like Vooch here that there's no market for and he comes back, at least to the trade deadline, he's not going to be wanting to rebuild. Right. He's going to try to win too. Yeah. So, you everybody's got to be on the same page of what direction we're going to go to. You can't have this group over here going this way and this group going over here. It has to be, everyone has to be on board of what we're trying to do. Is it going to be pretty? No, it's not. If we decide to develop, is it going to be pretty? No, it's going to be ugly some nights. It's going to be some nights that we saw yesterday. There may be some games like that we saw Toronto in that summer league, blow them out. There may be games like that. But I think the fan base will understand and be more forgiving if they know what direction we're going into. If you're saying we're trying to win and then we're getting blown out like that, and hey, these younger kids are not playing, then you're like, okay, well, what are we doing? Are we developing? And for the future, or are we trying to win? We have to pick a side. You can't have one foot over here and 1 foot over here. You got to be planted solidly where you want to be. If you want to win, let's go for it. If you don't want to win and you're waiting for that next summer when you have that free agency kick in, you got all that money available, because they'll be one of the few teams that have a lot of money to give to free agents. And Chicago still, I don't care what people say, Chicago still is a great city to play in as far as a professional basketball player coming here playing in this city. It's an awesome fan base. We got fans all over the world. The brand is number 1 or 2 in the NBA, and and if you win here, if you're a quality, I said this last week, if we got a star player and they're able to win here, they'll be iconic. Even if they only won 1 championship, they'll be iconic. The Bulls fans just want a winner. They want to see us. They want to see us play past the first round. They want to see us, have some success and see the team growing in the right direction. You owe that to the fan base. To stay kind of like, the play-in, we're battling for play-in. This is a championship. I know it's been far removed from our last championship, but this was a dynasty at one point. This is like San Francisco 49ers, the New England Patriots, the Spurs. This was a dynasty. You want to get back to that. 27
years ago.
Yeah, but you know what, though? But, there's a lot of teams, Mark, don't have championships. There's a lot of teams don't have a banner hanging up in there. They don't even have one. They're celebrating winning the Players' Cup in the middle of the year. Celebrating like that's a championship. So can you get back to that level? Yes, you can, but it's going to take some time. It's going to take us, again, hitting home runs on some of these draft picks and spending your money wisely on bringing the right people. Because if you watch the finals this year, if you took anything away from these two teams, Indiana and Oklahoma City playing, their teams were built through the draft, and they were good quality pickups that helped their team go. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander just became a superstar. He hasn't been a superstar since he came in this league. He gradually built his way up into that.
And Indiana got Halliburton and Siakam with smart trades.
With smart trades. And then you also remember, they also got the kid from New York, Obi Toppin, for a bag of chips.
Yes.
And he was
anybody could have got
him for like second round picks. Yeah. So those kind of guys were great pickups for them. Those guys did their homework. They got the right players. There's not anybody on their team that you go, oh, he's a superstar. They drafted right. Oklahoma City has draft picks for the next 20 years in their vault. Yeah. And then they just signed their 3 top players to max deals. My question to that in Oklahoma City is, I know Boston did the same thing. When Boston won a championship, they feel like, oh, we can win 2 or 3 in a row, so let's lock in our superstars. Well, look what happened in year 2 when they didn't win the championship. Now it's a fire sale. You get rid of, Porzingis, you get rid of Drew Holiday. You shop in Jaylen Brown because you don't want to spend that money getting that second apron. Oklahoma City's market is not as big as all these other places, but they recognize now, like they're building a new arena. They're going to put skyboxes in there. People are excited in Oklahoma City about this team, in the state of Oklahoma about this team. So they're going to be able to pay these guys. But if you don't win consistently, 2 and 3 in a row, you're going to have to make some decisions later on down the road. Because you remember when they were in this situation before, when they had Kevin Durant, Westbrook, Harden, Ibaka, they couldn't pay all those guys. It was impossible for them to pay all these guys.
They'll have to make some sacrifices along the way. But the key for them, as Stacey mentioned, Sam Presti, I think he's accumulated something like 13 first-round draft picks over the next 7 years. So if you have to sacrifice a Lou Dort or a Cason
Cason Wallace
or a Hartenstein, you can replace them with young draft picks. Not necessarily as good, but you still got your core three that are going to.
Well, their core is set though. I mean, they signed their three main guys, and you got Caruso under contract, you got Hartenstein under contract, so that's 5 guys. I don't know what Dort's situation is. I think he still got some years on his contract, but most of those guys are on their rookie deal, and they got to the finals with almost everybody on their rookie deal. All the guys they drafted on their rookie deal. A lot of teams don't do that.
Yeah, they've done a tremendous job over there with those draft picks. They're going to be a monster for years to come. Hey, did you catch the comments that Giannis made in that interview he did this week where he asked him point blank, do you think you'll be in Milwaukee next year? And he just kind of leaned back in his chair and he goes, probably, we'll see. Then he quickly said, I love Milwaukee. But he's still sitting back and watching what's going on. And, they introduced Turner yesterday at the Summer League. He said all the right things about switching over from Indiana to Milwaukee, but there's a lot of unrest as to how that's all going to settle. And LeBron is setting out these cryptic things. He's not real happy that they're just catering to what Luka wants right now.
Well, Luka's the future. Luka's 25 years old. He's the future, and so LeBron's at the back end of his career. So why would you
go back to Cleveland?
Yeah, he can go back wherever he want to go. The Lakers. I mean, if they can work out a deal, I guarantee you, Lakers will move him because it's just they need to. They want to go in a direction with Luka. Luka's their future, so they want to start building the team around Luka. They built a team around LeBron. Well, LeBron built a team around LeBron, and they realized that's a mistake because they haven't been able to win. So now the front office is saying, okay, now we got a player that we can actually build around and put the right pieces around him, and he'll be able to flourish. That's why they went out and when they went out and got DeAndre Ayton because they need a rim runner, a guy that can play the pick and roll, dive to the basket.
Same agent as Luka.
Yes. So and he'll be revived in Los Angeles.
Yeah, he'll play hard finally. Yeah.
Exactly. So but when you look at guys like Miles Turner leaving, that tells you there was bad blood there behind the scenes
because left for just a couple million more.
Because here's the deal, Mark. If you love Indiana, you really hate to leave. You got more money elsewhere, but you really hate to leave. You're not going within the division.
And the Bucks are their biggest rival.
Yes,
That's
biggest rival. Yes, you're not going to jump from Indiana and go to Milwaukee unless you have bad blood with Indiana. Yeah. And it was quick the way it happened. You didn't even really give Indiana a chance to, okay, what do you want? We'll change, we might have lowballed you the first time around, but what do you want?
Yeah,
and
there was no negotiation.
No,
I'm gone.
He left, and he went within the division. You just don't see that. So, and they've been trying to trade, Miles Turner for 2 or 3 years, and I think he didn't really like that, and he remembered all that. And so here you are now, and that puts Indiana at a disadvantage because they have no backup plan for Miles Turner. They had nobody behind Miles Turner that you go, okay, if Miles leaves, we got these guys ready to go. They had that. They were not prepared for that. They did not think in a million years that Miles Turner would be gone, and on top of having Halliburton out for the whole season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Indiana. One other trade happened since we talked to you last. It was a 3-way deal. Miami got Norman Powell, a borderline all-star, for a bag of chips.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about stealing a guy.
Yeah.
It's a 3-way trade. John Collins goes to the Clippers. He's going to help them. And for some reason, they took back a bunch of junk. Utah did.
Yeah.
Kevin Love and Slow-Mo.
Yeah.
And a second-round pick. And Miami basically gets Norman Powell for nothing. You put him with Hero and Bam Adebayo and some of their younger guys, they'd jump over the Bulls too.
Well, it's you just kind of wonder, like, what are these negotiations are doing behind the scenes?
Some of these trades,
because some of these guys you're getting 2nd-round picks. The one trade that kind of went under the radar and no one's really talking about is a Cam Whitmore from Houston going to Washington.
Yeah.
They only gave up 2 second-round picks for that kid. And that kid, I'm telling you, America, you don't know who Cam Whitmore is, look him up. Cam Whitmore is going to explode next year in Washington. I would not be surprised if he's not an 18-point-a-game scorer.
Get a ton of shots.
He's going to get a ton of shots. There's a youth movement there. They got a lot of young talent there. Plus, they got some veterans. C.J. McCollum's there. So they got some veterans to lead the way a little bit.
Trey Johnson from Texas.
Yes, Trey Johnson. So they got some really good young pieces. And I'm like, man, like they got 2 second-round picks for that guy. And when he played, if you look at his numbers, when he played in Houston and started, he averaged almost 18 points a game as a starter. For some reason, he fell out of favor with Udoka. I don't know what it is. I talked to, some of the guys in Houston about that, and it's just like Udoka just doesn't like his game. Thinks he's too more me than we. Well, when you're a big-time scorer, you're always going to have that attitude. You're going to have that attitude like I can get buckets anytime, any place, anywhere. Kevin Durant, the Russell Westbrooks, all these guys have that mentality. James Harden, Brunson, All these guys have that type of mentality that they can go out and score anytime they want to, and to criticize a kid and hold him back. Now you're going to turn him loose, and you're going to be looking back going, wow, we had him, and we had him on our team, and we let him go.
So the Clippers trade away Norman Powell. They get John Collins to play power forward. Kawhi's going to go back to the 3. They have a couple of solid centers now in Zubats, and, of course, they got Brook Lopez from Milwaukee as a free agent. And the speculation is once the Bradley Beal contract is bought out in Phoenix, Bradley Beal's going to go to the Clippers to team up with Harden in the backcourt. What do you think of that team now?
Well, if they can get Beal to buy into what they're doing. See, these guys like, Bradley Beal, who are super talented, you got to convince them, first of all, to be bought out, from Phoenix. He's already refused to be traded, no trade clauses. These guys come to your team, man. Do you really want that kind of guy on your team? Because, you got to buy into what you're doing as far as trying to be a championship caliber team. Clippers are a team that are like on the cusp. They're on the outside looking in at the VIP section. But they're good enough looking team that they can get into VIP, but there's other teams that are more sexy.
And they're always the second team in LA.
Yes, and they're always going to be the second team in LA. But they're good enough. They got a new arena. They got their fan base is huge. They got a chance to make that step. As long as you get a healthy Kawhi Leonard and he's healthy, and James Harden is healthy, you got a shot. They got the right pieces now around those guys. And yeah, you lose a Powell, but what you're getting back from that is, you're moving Kawhi Leonard to his natural position now, which is a 3. And now you just have to, you have to figure out where you're going to play that second guard, who's going to be that second guard. And if you get Bradley Beal, who's an excellent outside shooter, excellent catch and shoot guy, you really solve a lot of problems.
Yeah, that Lakers-Clippers rivalry could be something to watch next year if those teams are both loaded up with stars. Getting back to the Bulls, what do you make of the whole Josh Giddy stalemate? He's back in the United States now, working out, and we've seen video. Yes. Workout video, of course, is worth whatever you want to make out of it. But, I think he's poised, Giddy is, to make another leap in his game. And finding a number that works for both sides is so important because you don't want to have him coming back on that qualifying offer because he's not going to be happy. And then you worry about injury and possibly losing him as an unrestricted free agent next summer.
Well, he's going to want a certain amount of money.
Sure.
He's looking at the market, what the market value is for guards at his position, and he's starting at Jalen Suggs. Okay, that's where it's starting right there.
That's one they can't get past.
That's his benchmark right there. What Jalen Suggs is making, and if you look at his numbers, they're better.
5 for 150. In case you don't know,
they're better than Jalen Suggs' number as a starter in this league. And so, if you're the Bulls, you saw a sample size of what he's capable of doing. But you can't forget the body of work before he went to the bench in Oklahoma City. He was a big-time player there. He was on the all-rookie team. He was a big-time player for that. He was in that youth movement. And then he got, stuff happened off the court. And then
SGA blew up.
And then SGA took over. And then he kind of, became like even probably a third option on that team. And so, and then you saw him last year. You saw what he do. This guy's a walking triple-double, okay? No matter how he gets it, he's a walking triple-double. Okay. Yeah, his defense needs to get work on. Yeah, he needs to get a consistent outside shooter. But there's a lot of guys in this league that are half the player he is that needs that. Okay. But what he does do, he does the intangible things. Number one, he's a big guard. To have a 6'8" point guard when you're struggling rebounding, which the Bulls did at times last year, struggling getting teams second chance opportunities, he can go down there and put his nose in there. He's a tough kid from Australia. I think he played like Australian rules football, so he's a tough kid. He goes in there, he can rebound, he'll get you 9 or 10 boards from the point guard position, which is huge because most times point guards don't go defensive rebound. They're out in transition. They're ready to run and go, and he can get the ball off the glass and still beat everybody down the floor in transition. So if you're the Bulls, you're bidding against yourself, and I can see the apprehension because that happened with the Patrick Williams situation. You were bidding against yourself. That happened a few years ago with the Felicio situation. You were bidding against yourself, and then all of a sudden you find yourself in a contract that you wish you never signed to or agreed to. So, but he's different though. He's different because I feel Josh has the ability to be an all-star caliber player. Mm-hmm. So that's where it's different. He has the ability to be an all-star caliber player. If you look at Suggs, and depending on how Orlando does, do you look at Suggs? I think Josh will be an all-star before Suggs will.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay,
yeah.
So if you're looking at that perspective, then what he's asking for is not out of the realm of possibility. Because what you don't want, Mark, is him to do Jimmy Butler.
No, that's what I said. You don't want him coming back on a qualifying offer.
You want me to play for 1 year deal? Cool, I'll play for whatever it is, 11 million, 12 million, I think it is.
Million.
He comes in, puts up astronomical numbers. Teams next year have money to go get him. Bulls can't match, or you can only ask for a sign and trade. And he may not even want to do that. Nope, yeah. I'll take less money here and go play here.
Yeah, it's going to be something to watch. Woo! Hopefully they can work that out because
he's coming back. He's got to come back.
He played so well over the final 20-some games. He averaged almost a triple-double. Like Stacey said, those are all-star numbers he was putting them up. If you can do that over the course of an entire season, he will make an all-star team in the future. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the WNBA. Angel Reese named the WNBA All-Star. She's also the cover girl for NBA 2K26. Quite an accomplishment.
Yeah, you know what? She's starting to find herself now. The one area of her game that she's superior at is rebounding. She's arguably the WNBA's best rebounder. She's like Dennis Rodman. Like, she can go out there and get 20 boards like it's nothing, okay? Where you like to see her improve, and where you're starting to see her improve, they're giving her more responsibility. They're letting her bring the ball up the floor now. They're letting her create off the bounce. I like to see her be a better finisher. She misses a lot of layups, and that resorts in a lot of they call me rebounds.
Yeah,
she gets a lot of her rebounds, right?
Yeah.
So if she can get more consistent scoring, because it's amazing she's not more athletic than she is. I don't know if she'd had a knee injury or something or Achilles tear or something that's like really constricted her athleticism. But if she can start finishing around the basket and making teams pay, and then hit that little 15-foot outside jump shot, she's gonna be a star in this league. She's a star right now off the floor. She's a star. And she's made the All-Star team. And, the Sky has been struggling a little bit this year.
Yeah, they missed Courtney Vandersloot.
They missed a veteran point guard.
Really hurts them.
So they're relying so much on younger players. And and then the big girl has been out of the lineup too.
Cardoso was playing with Brazil.
Yeah, she's been out of the lineup, so that hurts them as well. But Angel Reese, I'm really happy to see her because you got this Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese battle. There is no battle. There's no battle. They both play different positions. If you want to have match her up with somebody, Asia Wilson.
Right.
As far as her people at her position, match her up and say, okay, where does she match up against Asia Wilson or Breanna Stewart?
Wilson has a much better perimeter game.
Yeah, or Breanna Stewart or some of these other tall girls who play her position. Don't compare her to Caitlin Clark because it's no comparison.
That goes back to college,
it's apples and oranges. Okay, if you want to, Caitlin Clark is being compared. You want to compare it to like Paige Bucher and those kind of guards out there that are really good guards. Compare those guards to guards and bigs to bigs. I think Angel Reese is on her way. I think she's shown some really good improvement this year. Like I said, I'd like to see her make more of her inside shots. I think if she can do that, you're looking at her averaging like 20 and 15 easily.
Well, we're heading into the All-Star break for baseball. We'll talk a little bit about the Cubs and what's going on, and a big weekend for the White Sox as they celebrate the 20-year anniversary of the World Series championship team. Hard to believe it's been 20 years. We'll talk about that and more coming up. But first, I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, our buddy Jeff Vukovich. When it comes to being treated like royalty, give Jeff a call. He'll take care of all your insurance needs, auto, home, and business. You can reach him at jeffvuk.com. That's VUK.com. Phone number 847-825-4783. Give him a call and tell him the Gimme the Hot Sauce crew sent you, and he will take care of you. Also has the best jingle in the business. Stacey.
Nationwide is on your side.
We thank Jeff for all his support. We're coming back, a little baseball talk, and the NFL season right around the corner. Training camps will open next weekend. That and more coming up. Give Me the Hot Sauce rolls on. Before we get to some baseball talk, one other NBA topic. LeBron and KD and Steve Nash did their little podcast thing, and they always drag the legacy of Michael Jordan.
What is it called? Was it Cry Me a River?
Cry Me a River. I think
Cry Me a River podcast? Yeah. Oh, my God. I tell you what, man, listen. I was watching
Revisionist history, they should call it.
Yeah, you know what, Mark? Great players don't have to tell people they're great.
Yeah. That's true.
You let fans do that. You let people debate it on talk radio and podcasts. Players don't have to do that. We all know you're great. You don't have to tell us. When you have to go around trumpeting that you're great and what separates you from all the other people that makes you greater than them, that's a problem. That's a problem. That's why I say it's a Cry Me a River podcast, because you're crying and moaning about what they said. And they were kind of sneak dissing MJ.
Yeah.
If you really listen between the lines. They were talking about, Kevin Durant was talking about how longevity is more important than rings and all that other stuff. Being in the league basically for 20 plus years shows the dedication and the hard work that you had to do to stay here. But he failed to mention, the load management, and this guy only playing in no more than 3 times in his career, 82 games in a season.
Yeah, right.
LeBron's only played 1 time 82 games in a season. MJ 9 times in his career played 82 games, plus playoffs and championships. It goes into 115 games. So to listen to these guys discredit the former players and how great they were to basically step on top of them to get themselves higher is really sad. You should, first of all, don't even compare eras, because there's 2 different eras, okay? But if you want to compare anything, compare the body of work. Forget eras, but the body of work. Same amount of games, same travel, same stay in hotels, all that's equal. What did you do in the time that you were here? What did you do? How many championships you won? Because Kevin Durant wants to be one of the great players.
Right.
He wants to be considered a go-to, okay? And I love Kevin Durant. I think Kevin Durant is a phenomenal player. But you don't win any championships if it wasn't with Steph Curry. See, you could always say, well, Golden State didn't win anything until I got there. That's not the case. Golden State won before you got there, and then they won afterwards. So you can't say you were the difference maker. Steph Curry sacrificed his game when Kevin Durant was there to say, hey, do you, man. You be the guy. I'm not even going to be – I'll just step back, hit open shots. He didn't care about that. He just wanted to win. Kevin Durant's ego got so big from the fact that everybody was saying, oh, you couldn't win unless you go to Golden State. You couldn't beat Golden State, so you had to join him. So his ego was so big, he leaves Golden State. And it wasn't just because of the Draymond Green situation. That was some of it when Draymond Green snapped at him on the bench.
Yes.
That was some of it. But the majority of it is he wanted to show people he could get his own team like LeBron.
Create his own team with Kyrie and go win.
Yes, and I can go win. Yeah. And how'd that work out for you? You did it in Brooklyn, failed miserably. You went to Phoenix, failed. Didn't even make the playing game in Phoenix. So you're not on that level. LeBron can still say he's on that level.
Well, he always changes. He moves the target.
Yes, the goalposts always move.
Yeah. One time it's about how many championships you won. Next time, rings don't matter.
Rings don't matter.
Yeah.
But I remember distinctly when you're going to Miami, was that not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, all the way to 8. Okay, yeah. Listen. At the end of the day, you will never be able to discredit, what Bill Russell did. Guys who have won more than 1 championship, you can never discredit that. Right. To sit up here and just try to tear down Michael Jordan's legacy, talking about, he left to go play baseball. Some guys went to go play baseball. See, if you knew your history, you know exactly why he left. That was a dream his father wanted him to do. That guy was mourning the death of his father, okay? We were all part of that. I remember where I was when I got the news. We were playing a celebrity softball game at Comiskey against Michael Bolton. His travel softball team was for charity. And Mr. Jordan didn't show up, which was unheard of. And I remember flying off to Hawaii to go to Pete Newell's big man's camp, and I'm looking at the news, and I saw that he was murdered. And that's the reason why he didn't show up. Michael was devastated. Everybody was devastated. And him and his dad were super close, And so to sit up there and say the guy left to go play baseball, but you failed to mention the guy left as the greatest player before he left. Nobody was beating him when he was here. Right. He went away for almost 2 years and came back and took everything back that someone else took, and y'all didn't win again. Mm-hmm. So you didn't say that, but they're just, he went to go play. He didn't play 20 years. Da, da, da. Come on, bro. If he played 20 years, Kareem's record would have been broken by now.
It's funny that you mentioned the whole Jordan career with the Bulls. Last Monday, it was like 100 degrees outside, and, I'm like, I ain't doing anything. I'm just going to sit, chill in the house. And ESPN News ran the whole Last Dance. So I'm sitting there watching this. I'm watching the whole thing, and you forget how good that show was. So well produced, so much information behind the scenes. And it's so funny hearing, your former teammates, talking about Jordan and, how tough he was on guys in practice.
Yeah.
And you calling him a bully. And you've told stories, punching guys in practice. He was a tyrant to play with, but he also wanted, like he said in the documentary, that I wanted all these guys to share in that success, and I wanted to pull them with me. And if you can't take it, then you can't play with him.
See, here's the thing that people don't understand about Michael, and to play with him, you have to understand this. Michael is the hardest working guy I've ever seen in my life. Okay, he approached practice like it was game situation. Nobody I've ever played with or played, in the same team with practice as hard as Michael Jordan. If you ask any teammate all the way down the line, they would tell you he's the hardest working guy. first one in sprints, first one in drills, always beating everybody in the drills. Very competitive. The same things you see him in the game doing, he's doing it in practice to us. So younger players going up against us every day, you're getting the best Michael Jordan every day. You're getting the best Scottie Pippen every day. These are all-star caliber guys. So then when you go into a regular season game, and we're playing against the New York Knicks or the Utah Jazz with all these star players, it doesn't faze us because we're going up against the best, and they're giving us their best every day to prepare us for what we're going to see during the regular season. That's why we won.
And now teams barely practice.
Teams barely practice
during the
season. And then they complain about the season's too long. And it's just like, listen, man, you got to understand, most of us come from families where our parents had to work 2 or 3 jobs to get us to where we are today. Okay. We didn't have the money. I know my family didn't have the money to send me all these camps and stuff. My mom and dad had to stretch money and maybe go without things to get us to where we need to go. Okay. So it would be a disservice to anyone who didn't remember what their parents did to get them there. It'd be a disservice to them if you cut corners and you didn't work as hard as them and have the work ethic that they had. It's a slap in their face. And I think, these kids have to understand there's people come to these games and they want to see Michael Jordan. They want to see, Durant. They want to see LeBron James. This might be the only time they're able to see him. And they come to see the one game where you decide to have load management. Even if Michael never did that. Michael never set out games. Yeah. If Michael set out a game, he made sure he played at least 25 minutes so you saw him play. Whether it be preseason, he didn't miss any regular season games. But during preseason where most stars sit out, he played. We played in Lincoln, Nebraska. We played in Sioux Falls. We played in some small venues to get the people who may not be able to get to a big city to see us. We go into those places and play. And most star players, I'm not playing in Lincoln, Nebraska. I'm sitting out. Michael would play first and third quarter, 24 minutes to let people see, because he recognized, and Kobe's the same way, that this might be the only time that they're able to afford to see me play. And I want to make sure I put on a show. These guys nowadays, they don't look at it that way. The fans pay these enormous, these crazy salaries. You owe the fans everything you got. And I mean, you do. Baseball, football, you owe fans to go out there and put an honest day's work out there. If you can play, you're not hurt, you owe it to fans to go out there and show, that your appreciation for them. Now, you get into this all talk radio, all that. Who cares about all that stuff? But I'm talking about the people who don't have the money to go see a game and can't afford to see a game live. When they come to see you play and their kids are all excited, it's the only time they see the Lakers play in Chicago because you only come here once. Well, LeBron's out. He's sitting out. Load management. That's demoralized. And that was a lot of money. Those tickets are expensive to see the Lakers. Yeah. So he doesn't show up. Your kid's disappointed. He's not signing autographs, not taking pictures. He's on the bench eating a hot dog and leaving, and it's a disappointment. You saved up all that money for that one game, and that guy didn't show up.
Yeah, and in rewatching Last Dance, watching Scottie Pippen in Game 6 in 1998, he basically was crippled with those back spasms and gutting it out, and they were able to pull it out with the greatest sequence of all time with Jordan with the bucket, the steal of Karl Malone, and the jumper over Brian Russell. So that was just fun to watch it again. And when you go back to the argument, the whole GOAT argument, Bulls 6-0 in the finals and never taken to a 7th game.
And then and it's funny because you listen to all these LeBron loyalists. LeBron never beat Larry. I mean, Michael never beat Larry Bird and never beat Isaiah. Well, no, he didn't beat them his first 6 or 7 years in the league. He had to get a team around him to be able to challenge those guys. And when he did, he beat them. Of course, the Celtics were older, and we didn't have to play them in a series. There was always Detroit and Boston playing each other. But our series was Cleveland and New York and Detroit. Those are the teams we had to beat, And once we got through those teams, like who's going to mess with you? Because we could have easily beat Detroit like we did and swept them, in 91, and then went out there and let the Lakers, run roughshod over us. But it didn't happen. Lakers come in and steal game 1, didn't win another one.
It was funny. Some of the best parts of the documentary are when they hand the iPad over to Michael to see what other people said. Yeah, and Isaiah Thomas trying to justify walking off after getting swept, and he's just cackling. And then Gary Payton saying, well, if I would have been defending him in 96, that would have been a whole different series. And he goes, the glove. And he just laughs at it.
And listen, Gary Payton, the only way you're going to be able to guard Michael Jordan if you kidnapped him before he left his house and you had 10 people with you, tied him up, and he wasn't able to go to the game. That's the only way you're going to guard him because nobody was guarding MJ during that time. Nobody. And when he gets in the NBA Finals, listen, Here's the argument right here. If you got one person to take the game-winning shot out of LeBron and Michael, who you gonna bet on? Who you gonna bet on?
Michael all the time.
I guarantee you. Listen, I also say this too. This tells you the popularity of a player. You don't see people walking around with LeBron shoes.
Right.
You know, Michael Jordan's shoes outsells all superstar players combined. That's how he's still relevant in this league. And that Last Dance documentary only really solidified him on another level. You know, I always tell people, you want to see Michael pre-championships, go watch the video, Come Fly With Me.
Yeah, oh my God.
If you want to see a young Michael, a very young Michael's first 6 or 7 years in the league and see how dominant he was, his third game, I saw a video the other day, third game of his NBA career, he's going up against the Defensive Player of the Year, Sidney Moncrief in Milwaukee, and gave him like 38.
Yeah.
His third
he
game,
averaged 38.
Third game as a rookie, he gave the defensive player, consensus defensive player, all defensive guard, Sidney Moncrief. Do your homework. Sidney Moncrief was no joke defensively.
Right.
Gave him 38, third game of the year.
Yeah. If you get a chance, go back and rewatch it. It is just
Come
fantastic.
Fly With Me, America.
Yeah.
That's your homework. Go watch. Don't forget The Last Dance. You already saw it. If you want to see Michael, a young Michael, that's when I saw him in college. That's when I became a huge fan of Come Fly With Me. Go watch Come Fly With Me.
Definitely. Check that out. Hey, we'll talk a little bit of baseball before we get out of here. As I mentioned, we're hitting the All-Star break. The Cubs had a 6.5-game lead at one point, but things have gotten really tight. The Brewers, who are pesky as can be, small market team, low budget team, they've been red hot. They've got one of the best starting pitching rotations in baseball now with this kid, Jacob Mizorowski, who throws 102, has joined the rotation.
He throws gas.
And he was named to the All-Star team, which is crazy. He's pitched 5 games, and he was named as an injury replacement. That's a whole different story. But we showed you the standings. They're within 1 game. And, you know, it looked like the Cubs might run away with that division. But the Brewers, they're just pesky. You know, a lot of people are giving Craig Counsell the credit, but he left, and they're still winning with Pat Murphy as the manager.
Mark, this is what I feared. I told you this. You kept saying, where's the Cubs at? Where's the Cubs? This is what I feared. Well, as soon as I buy in, as soon as I put chips in, 7 out, craps. So I'm like, I'm not riding with them till I actually know. I see them because this is where it happens at All-Star break. They come in, they start limping towards All-Star break, injuries.
They need this break.
Yes, they need
their
it
starting pitching is really starting to fade.
They're starting to fade, and Milwaukee has won like 5 in a row, almost 6, I think 5 or 6 in a row. So they've got on a hot
They're the
streak.
hottest team since late May. They're one of the best teams in baseball.
And this is what happened last year. So I'm still like, I almost put on the Cubs hat today, but I was like, oh no, man, I can't do it, man. Because as soon as they go into tank mode, Stacey put a Cubs hat, he jinxed them. So no, because I know how you listeners.
No, it's not Stacey's fault.
I know you viewers. As soon as Stacey put that Cubs hat, that's when they started losing. No, they were losing before Stacey put on a Cubs hat. Okay. But I think they'll turn it around. They got to get their pitching right. They got to get some help.
And they're going to try to make some moves. The trade deadline in baseball is July 31st. They're going to trade some of their minor league guys and try to bring in 1, if not 2 starting pitchers because they need to strengthen that rotation. They need to strengthen it, but you also got to be where do they envision themselves? You know, do they envision themselves as being a team that has a chance to win it? Or are they early? Are they peaking earlier than what they thought they were going to be? Well, the problem is they made that big trade for Kyle Tucker. He's going to be a free agent this winter. He's going to demand $500 million. Oh, hell no. And so, really, this is an all-in season. This is your one chance. I know the Dodgers are great, and you got the Phillies and the Mets and other teams in the National League. But for the Cubs, 1, Jed Hoyer's contract, the GM, is up. He wants to save his job. And 2, if they're going to have any chance of re-signing Kyle Tucker, they're going to have to make a run, hopefully all the way to the World Series to convince him this is the place he wants to spend his future. It's not going to happen, Mark. Well, I'm saying that's the realities they're dealing with. I mean, is he worth $500 million? Based on what Vlad Guerrero got, he got that, and Soto got like $650 million. Man, what are those numbers there? Ohtani got. I like to know. Well, Ohtani's the only one. Okay, put Ohtani over here by himself. Don't even compare anybody to him. Like, I'd like to know what all those guys are doing now to justify that contract. In terms of their stats? Tucker's right there with Soto and better than Guerrero. So his agent is going to put. Like we talked about the problem with Josh Giddy, comparing himself to other people. He's going to put his numbers next to Vlad Guerrero and go, my guy's better. I want $550 million. How consistent has he been? Tucker? Yeah. Tucker's been rock solid. He's been great. What's his age? He's 28, I think. And he's got his OPS is like over 900, which is superstar level. and he's been driving in runs.
Oh man,
good OPS. He's been outstanding. There's nothing you can say negative about Kyle Tucker, but every time he's interviewed about his future, he's playing it coy. We'll see what happens. I'm really enjoying this year in Chicago, and he's done a good thing. He's brought his charitable foundation here to Chicago. He's been a good teammate. It's not like he's got one foot out the door, but he and his agent realize he's going to cash in big time. It's just a question of who's going to pay him.
That's going to be a lot of money. That's going to be a lot of money wrapped into one player.
Yeah.
And so that's, if he's worth it, give it to him. But I mean, because I would like to know where the Cubs' mindset was going into this season. Are we going, we're going balls to the wall, we're just going all out and win it, or try to win it, or are we going to just grind it out, see where we are, and at trade deadline, if we feel like we got a chance to go out and go get some guys to push us over the edge, let's do it.
And the Dodgers have had a lot of injuries this year, especially with their pitching staff. So I think teams in the National League are thinking maybe the Dodgers are vulnerable, but Ohtani's back pitching now. They're going to be formidable.
No, they're when it comes time to it, they're just like any championship team that has a chance to win multiple championships. Their guys are going to be ready when it's time, when the lights come on. They'll have all their aces ready to go. Their bats will be ready to go. I wouldn't even worry about them. I mean, they got a hell of a team, and they're willing to go spend whatever to maintain that level that they've experienced. They'll go out and spend whatever. So I don't see them, but like Philadelphia is a team that I think is one of those grinded out teams. If they can keep Bryce Harper upright and have him healthy, they got a shot to surprise a lot of people. Atlanta,
they've got great pitching too. Philadelphia,
yes, yeah, Philadelphia's got great pitching. Atlanta,
they're done.
They're done. They sold some pieces off, and I don't know about them in the American League. You got the Yankees who are always going to be there, but they've been up and down this year.
Yankees have been up and down. Yeah,
they started off hot. They were one of the hottest teams, and they just got cold. So, but
Tigers have been the team in the American League. They have the best record in baseball.
Hey, listen,
the kid Scooble is the real deal.
They converted my man Javi into an outfielder, and he's contributing on that team.
He's on the All-Star team.
Yeah, he's contributing as an outfielder. A hell of an athlete to be able to go from the infield to the outfield and make some of the catches he made. Yeah, they're a team to watch too. But it'll be interesting to see what the Cubs do because, like I said, they got some talent, and what are they willing to go out and get? What are they willing to go out to get to push them over the edge?
Speaking of center fielders, Pete Crow Armstrong continues to put up amazing numbers. This is only his second full season in the big leagues. He's the first player in Major League history to have 25 homers, 25 stolen bases, and 70 runs batted in before the All-Star break. I mean, no one in the history of baseball has ever done that. That says a lot.
Of all the great players like Ty Cobb and all those people?
It's just amazing that he's been able to do that. Now, they are playing more games before the All-Star break than they used to, so that does factor in. But Barry Bonds and Eric Davis are the only other guys to have 25 homers and 25 steals before the All-Star break. So that's
impressive.
The company he's in.
That's impressive. How's his contract look? Is he
PCA? Well, they were trying to get him to a quick extension early in the year, and his agent said, hold on a minute. We're going to wait.
We're going to wait this out.
They were close to a deal, and then he started blowing up, and his agent pulled back on, well, maybe we'll talk about this after the season.
Yeah, they should have probably tried to put the full court press on him.
Right, lock him in a room.
Lock him in a room. They turn off the lights, confuse him a little bit. Yeah, that's what they should have did him, Mark, because he going to cost him a lot of money too. Yeah, he's going to cost him a lot of money. Those numbers are impressive.
Hey, over on the south side, the rebuild continues. The White Sox have been a more solid team this year under first-year manager Will Venable. But the big news this weekend, big reunion weekend. It's the 20-year anniversary of their 2005 World Series championship team. Almost all the guys are back, with the exception, of course, of Bobby Jenks, who tragically passed away, died of cancer about a week or so ago. Bobby Jenks, a big personality, flamethrower. He got the final out in that World Series, and he was a fun-loving guy. Really a great guy. He was managing in the minor leagues, so we miss him dearly. They honored Mark Burley with the unveiling of a statue on Friday night. It was a good-looking statue, not like that Dwayne Wade thing. It looked like a haunted.
So he's the first statue.
No. They have a Konerko statue. Frank Tom. The White Sox have done a good job. They honored a number of players from their history. They're all over the place, outside, inside the stadium.
Well, they probably got the same guy who made the Jordan statue.
Yeah.
So the White Sox and the Bulls statue look just like the players. The Blackhawks look like their guys.
Dwayne Wade thing.
That Dwayne Wade looked like.
I can't believe when they unveiled it, you didn't go, "Oh my God, what'd you do?"
Hey, listen, I thought it was Lawrence Fishburne from from The Matrix. That's what it looked like. He didn't look nothing like Dwayne Wade.
No.
And so, and then they gave Udonis Haslem one, and he's out on the street sitting on a park bench. And I'm like, why would you put Udonis Haslem on a bench on the outside of the street, like on Biscayne Boulevard? He's just sitting there, and the birds are on his shoulder.
That's how he spent the second half of his career, sitting at the
That's
end of the
terrible,
bench.
man. That's terrible. You could have got him up waving the towel. You could have got him there rebounding. You could have got my man UD.
Yeah.
UD was a big part of their program early on going.
Yeah, he was a big part of that
Big
first
part of
championship
it.
in 06.
And to have him sitting on a bench like he's like an old man waiting to go to Walmart. That's terrible. That's terrible. Bird pigeons on his shoulder. I was like, is that UD? I'm like, oh, he looks sad. The statue like, why they got me here?
Yeah,
That's
you
terrible.
look back on that 05 White Sox team, and they did something that will never be done again. They had like almost 4 complete games. They swept the Astros, but their starting pitchers, I think there was only one guy that didn't go 9 innings. I mean, that's unheard of with the analytics and trying to protect guys' arms. You'll never see that again.
No, and that shows you why pitching is so important. Pitching neutralizes good hitting. You know, you got some studs up there. That's why teams like the Dodgers, who have a stable full of pitchers, it's going to be tough to beat them because they can trot out guys, you know, in any inning. You know, you know, their starter only has to go 5 innings because you can come in and throw another guy out there, middle reliever, that can close the game for you.
Yeah, it was Jose Contreras, Freddie Garcia, John Garland, and Mark Burley. And Burley actually came in and pitched relief in the 14-inning game when they beat the Astros, and there were reports that he didn't think he was playing, so he was drinking beer in the clubhouse. And they said, Mark, we need you, because the game went to 14 innings. So he ended up going out there a couple beers in.
That's like a Clint Eastwood story right there, ladies and gentlemen. He's out there
He's
drinking.
never denied it, though.
He's out there
Mark
drinking,
Burley's never
he's
denied
out there
that.
drinking beer, having a good time, eating hot dogs. All of a sudden, they say, hey, Mark, we need you to go out there and close it out for us, brother. Well, wait a minute. Nobody knows how dry I am. Just give me the ball, and I'll get it done for you, baby.
So great memories on the South Side as they celebrate the 20-year anniversary. I kind of felt bad, you know.
It's been 20 years?
Yeah, 05 was when they won the World Series.
Wow.
Seems like it was yesterday, you know.
What is Konerko doing? Is he managing somewhere? Is
No,
he in front office?
he's out of baseball, just enjoying life.
Really?
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
I always thought Paul Konerko would be good in the front office, or he'd be good as a manager because he's got that personality that players respect. You know, I'm surprised he's not doing something in the White Sox organization.
You know, speaking of personalities, our guy Chuck Garfien and Ozzie Guillen had to fill like 2 hours of airtime. You know how bad it is when you gotta just keep talking.
Yeah.
They played a split doubleheader yesterday, and then they're going to have the Burley statue. So the first game went fast. So Chuck and Ozzie are out there for like 3 hours sitting in the sun out at the rate. And so Ozzie's getting a little punchy, and all of a sudden he's like, where's my statue? You know,
oh, really?
You know, I was a player. I was an all-star. I managed the team.
Was he
I
on
should
air?
have a statue. Yeah. I mean, he wasn't being, you know, bitter about it or yelling at anybody, but he's like trying to state his case for his statue. They got a lot of statues out there.
Listen, he should have one.
Yeah.
He should have one. I mean, he's a player, big-time player for him. He was the manager of the teams. All he should.
He's pre and post. He's been
And
doing it forever.
yeah, he should have one. Is Hawk Harrison got one?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
What about Robin Ventura? He got one?
I'd have to check.
I'd have to check,
They
too.
got a lot of statues out
Yeah,
there.
but you know what?
They have one that's right in the main entrance that celebrates the 05 championship team with a bunch of guys.
With a bunch of guys on it. Okay, yeah, because I'd like to know if Robin's on there. That's my dude, man. Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
I don't really recognize Oklahoma State Cowboys, but Robin's one of the good guys.
Yeah, he had the all-time hitting streak.
Yes,
in college.
He was one of great all-time hitters. It'll be interesting to see, but like statues is tough, man. Statues is tough. Like you got to be like Oklahoma football. You had to win a Heisman to get a statue.
Yeah.
Okay. They're talking about bringing one for the basketball team, which that means you'd have to be like a first-team consensus All-American. You know, which I'd have a statue. You know, I'd be out there. I hope one day
Stacey'd have a big smile on his face for the statue.
Listen, baby, I'm just happy my jersey's up in the rafters. Forget a statue, America.
Yeah.
My jersey's retired. That's all I care about. And I'm in Oklahoma Hall of Fame. So I'm happy about that. But if I was just happy to get a statue, I'd like to get one.
Stacey'd rather have the NIL money that he missed.
Yeah, you ain't lying. Hey, boy.
Just send him the check.
Just
Forget
send me
about
the
statue.
check. Yeah. No statute limitations. Because like I said, I took a pay cut when I came to the league.
All right, before we get out of here, it's our regular feature. What are we watching? Stacey, start us off.
Ooh, wow. I saw Ballerina, which is a spinoff of the John Wick, from the world of John Wick. It really takes place.
Did you like that?
Yeah, it was good.
Oh, okay.
It takes place basically when John Wick 3 was being out.
Mm-hmm.
And so this girl who's a little girl, her dad's in that. It's a whole killing people. They're raising killers, and there's one on Europe and then there's one in the States. And you know that little hotel that's in the States, they always go to that hotel. Okay, there's two factions that are like they're at peace now. They used to be at war. So she's on this side of the other faction, and John Wick's on the other side with the other people. But John Wick doesn't even come in the movie until the very end. Which they bring him in. It's pretty cool how they brought him in. But the little girl, witnessed her dad being killed. So she automatically goes to the other side now. They wanted her to go on this side and train because they have her twin sister, which you found out she had a sister. We didn't know that till the very end. Sorry I let y'all in on that. But, I'm like an old refrigerator. I can't keep nothing in. But listen, it's a great movie. If you like John Wick, a lot of action. Yeah. Very believable. The stunts the girl did, the fighting scenes, which is amazing because I think she's like 5'4", 5'5", and she's fighting guys 200 pounds, which you know, okay, either she got to be a badass, but there's no way in the world she's taking down a 250-pound man. She killed some dudes with skates, like little ice skates. She's whipping around like nunchucks. And she was, boy, she was bad. She was bad.
So it's not like John Wick coming up the stairs and 100 people shooting at him.
No, but you know what? John Wick, I'm going to tell you something. They should have just made John Wick a superhero because he never dies. Because, I just found out in this movie, John Wick has a bulletproof suit. If you ever see him always shielding his arms, it's a bulletproof suit, right?
Yes.
Okay, so my thing about it, and I was telling my friend this, I said, well, his head's not bulletproof.
Right. Nobody ever going to shoot at his head.
No one ever shoots at his head. Yeah. Everybody's shooting at his body, and you see the bullets ricocheting out. So in this scene with this girl, they sent him to kill her. He feels sorry for her because if you follow John Wick's story, John Wick was retired, and he only came out of retirement because they killed his wife and his dog. Okay, and so he has principles. Okay, so his wife died for nothing, but he killed his dog.
Right.
So he went on a killing spree for other people, killed his dog. So it's kind of similar to that storyline. Her father was killed, so but they send John Wick to end it. Like, okay, we got to get her out of here. She's going rogue. She's not listening to anybody. So Angelica Houston, who rules the other faction, sends John Wick to kill her. John Wick feels sorry for her, so she recognizes her pain from loss. So he just tells her to leave, just disappear, go. I'm not going to kill you. Leave. She refuses. They start to fight. Bad deal. John was just playing. It was like big brother, little brother. He's holding her down, like, okay, stop. And she's fighting. She picked up a gun. He was talking to her. This is when I knew he had a bulletproof suit. She pulls a gun, quick draw, and shot him towards his head. He blocked him. And I'm like, oh my God, the suit's bulletproof. I was wondering why he was able to withstand bullets. But they ricocheted off. But yeah, they introduced him at the end of the movie. He was really cool.
Yeah, my recommendation for today, or maybe not a recommendation, but I finished up season 4 of The Bear. This gets a lot of traffic in Chicago because it's set on the south side of Chicago, an Italian beef stand that the lead character, Jeremy Allen White, who trained in New York under the best chefs in the world, wanted to bring a high-class restaurant to the south side of Chicago. So they're trying to convert it. The restaurant's called The Bear. And I really enjoyed the first season because it was different. The way it's shot, really tight shots, really intense dialogue, really well acted. But as the seasons go on, it gets to be a tough watch because there's 7 or 8 people that they feature in the restaurant as employees, and they've all got big time problems or mental health issues. And you watch it and you're going, wow, I need a drink. I mean, it's a really heavy show.
It's hard to keep up with so many characters.
And there's very little success for any of the characters. They did have one guy, African-American guy, was named one of the top young chefs. He was a pastry chef, and he had personal issues with his dad. And it's depressing. It's a hard watch. It's extremely well done. It's creatively shot. It's different from a lot of things that you see on TV, and it's got a strong Chicago flavor. There's all kinds of Chicago scenery, a lot of references to Chicago things that are going on. So from that standpoint, I'd recommend it, but you might want to have a drink while you're getting ready to watch it.
I've yet to watch it. That's on my to-do list. I'm constantly watching new shows. I just started watching this show called The Countdown. It's about a task force that's put together to try to stop a foreign person from coming in, releasing a bomb, and killing a lot of people in Los Angeles. And it's pretty good. I'm like 4 episodes in. It stars Jensen Ackles, the guy who played Soldier Boy in the Homelander show, The Boys, and he also is in Supernatural. He's a pretty good actor. Eric Dane, who does a lot of good character work in there. So it's a really good show to follow if you like, you like intense, like whodunit, trying to catch somebody, trying to stay one step ahead of the criminals. It's a pretty good show.
Yeah, Whisper's, of course, not here today. He phoned in. He said he's been watching Bugs Bunny cartoons.
Yeah,
so that's his contribution.
He's watching old I Love Lucy shows and Ricky Ricardo too. You know, when they slept in separate beds, but somehow she ended up pregnant with little Ricky.
Hey, don't sleep. Don't sleep on some of those old series. You can catch them on Hulu. You know.
You go in their bedroom. There's like 2 twin beds.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, wait, you're thinking like, oh, how did little Ricky come about? And they were sleeping in 2 different beds. You know, I'm like, it was an immaculate conception. Did Ricky just touch her and Lucille Ball got pregnant? Like, what's going on out there? My mom always made me turn it when they always show the bedroom scene.
Yeah.
They made me change it.
That's a topic for another show.
Yeah,
Whispers
is,
here.
yeah,
We'll get to the bottom of that. Hey, we want to thank everybody watching us on the Chicago Sports Network. Of course, they're now on Xfinity Cable, so we're glad that you can watch us on a regular basis there. I caught the show on a Monday, and the various times in the week we're used as a filler program in the afternoon. So shout out to all the people at Chicago Sports Network who put our show up there, and looking forward to big things with the upcoming new basketball season, and it'll be here before you know it. So we're going to take a few days off and come back with a new show for you next week.
And shout out to our guy Cisco, who always comes in here, rain, sleet, snow,
ready to go.
He's like death and taxes. He always shows up to work, and he works the board. This guy does a lot of great work. His clothes now fit. They're not wearing the tight shirts that he used to wear when he first came here, and he doesn't have that rock star long hair anymore. He finally cut it for graduation. Good job, Cisco, boy. We love you out there to death.
Yeah,
boy.
college graduate, our guy Cisco. Until next week.
Drive home safe to Chicago.
He didn't come for the massage. He came for the facial.
Don't shoot him. Does anybody know how to post videos to Facebook?
There's a block party. Why did he get the invitation?
That's a huge three.
Mustard.
Lonzo left alone.
Sauce.
Able to swerve, bend that corner. That's the last time I'm going to see it. Williams straight up.